freezing these beans, and the health benefits may surprise you. My grandmother is 97 years old, and she has learned some longevity tricks from a close friend from Japan. She has a very unusual way of cooking beans, but it is extremely effective. This method helps improve digestion, cuts down cooking time, and still keeps the nutrition the body needs, even after boiling beans for a long time. In today's video, I will share 3 secret methods to help support better health and make cooking beans easier and more effective. By the way, my grandmother really loves dogs. She always says that love is what helps people live longer. When red beans are cooked the usual way, the process often takes 30 to 50 minutes before they finally become soft, while losing some of their valuable nutrition. But in Grandma's kitchen, there was a different approach. Freezing the beans before cooking became her quiet solution, saving time, heat, and worry at the stove. Fresh red beans should be selected carefully, with each bean checked for wormholes and damaged ones removed one by one. After sorting, the beans are washed with plenty of water and gently rubbed by hand. During their growth, beans are exposed to wind, dust, and sunlight, so impurities easily cling to the surface. The dirty water is poured out, the beans are washed 2 more times, and then drained well. The first method Grandma taught is the freezing method. At home, she often used a small plastic tray that once held coffee to portion the red beans. The tray filled with beans and water is placed into the freezer and left there for at least 5 hours until the beans are frozen solid like ice. Still, it is important to be clear that plastic is not the best choice for freezing food. Grandma reused it out of habit and thrift, but for health and safety, a glass bowl or glass container is always the better option. Glass is more stable, does not release substances when frozen, and is safer for long-term use. Freezing works because ice crystals form on the surface of the beans, creating tiny cracks in the bean skins. These cracks allow heat and water to enter the beans much faster during cooking, which helps the beans bloom evenly, and this step is the key. The frozen beans do not need to be thawed before cooking. They are placed directly into the pot, water is added all at once, and the lid is covered. Cooking begins over high heat until the water comes to a boil. If a thicker soup is desired, more water should be added at the beginning. Cold water should never be added halfway through cooking because it slows the process and affects texture. If additional liquid is needed, only boiling water is added. In just a few minutes, the beans become soft and fully bloomed. Compared to the usual half hour of cooking, the difference is remarkable. These cooked beans can be used for porridge, red bean paste, buns, or pancakes. By the time the cooking was done, the whole bowl felt like comfort itself. One winter evening, I came home much later than usual. The cold outside was sharp, the kind that settles deep into the body. My stomach felt empty and exhausted. But when I stepped inside, a warm bowl of red bean soup waiting on the table, made by Grandma. The steam rose gently, filling the room with a familiar comfort. With the first spoonful, the cold seemed to ease. In that moment, the tiredness of the day faded, replaced by a deep sense of peace. It was a reminder that no matter how hard the day had been, there was still love waiting at home. During the winter, whenever I caught a cold, felt stomach discomfort, without many words, she would quietly go into the kitchen and cook a pot of mung bean soup until the beans were soft and gentle. That bowl of mung bean soup helped my stomach feel lighter, my body feel warmer, and made it possible to eat even when there was no appetite at all. For Grandma, it was the simplest way to help the body recover slowly and safely from the inside out. Every time water was poured over the mung beans, tiny little bugs would slowly crawl out and float to the surface. As a child, this part was strangely fascinating. Sitting beside Grandma, watching closely, waiting for them to appear, then picking them out together, felt almost like a game. She would smile and say, this was why beans must always be soaked properly. Cleaning the beans carefully meant the food would be pure and the body would feel better afterward. It brings back that simple moment of sitting close, sharing time, and learning without ever realizing it. Using plastic containers is not recommended, especially for soaking or freezing food. Glass bowls are always the safer and better choice. The reason plastic appears here is simply because this was how Grandma used to do it years ago. And as a child, those small habits became part of warm, everyday memories. Showing it this way is not meant as advice, but as a way to recreate a simple moment from childhood when care, thrift, and love quietly filled the kitchen. This small step helped shorten cooking time and gave the final soup a smoother, sand-like texture that felt easier on a tired winter stomach. When cooking, the frozen beans went straight into the pot without thawing. Cold water was added first, and the soup was brought to a boil, then gently simmered. This slow heat allowed the beans to soften from the inside out, releasing their nourishment into the soup. After the beans had bloomed, Grandma added a small squeeze of lemon juice. She said winter water could feel heavy, and this little bit of acidity helped keep the soup clean in taste. A few pieces of rock sugar were added only if needed, never too much. This was the kind of dish Grandma made when the body felt worn down, when sleep was shallow, or when strength needed to be rebuilt quietly. This bowl of beans carries a story that comes from a time when life was much harder than it is now. There were years when food was limited and money was tight. During those days, Grandma did not rely on buying food. She planted these beans herself in the backyard garden. Grandpa was always there with her. After long days of work, he helped tend the garden, carried water, and fixed things around the house. They did not talk much about how difficult those years were. Instead, they focused on getting through each day together. When the beans were ready, Grandma cooked them slowly. The dish was simple, but it filled the house with warmth. Years later, life changed. There was enough food, enough comfort, and fewer worries about making ends meet. But Grandma never stopped making this dish, not because she needed to, but because it reminded her of those earlier days. Cooking these beans brought back memories of working together and of love built through effort. Even now, when this bowl is placed on the table, it represents more than a meal. It carries the memory of two people who faced hardship together and never gave up. It reminds us that the strongest bonds are often formed during the hardest seasons, and that the simplest food can hold the deepest meaning. As this Christmas season arrives, may God bless you and your family with warmth, good health, and peaceful moments together. The beans always worked, but it required patience. When time was tight, Grandma turned to another trusted habit, using salt and gentle hands to soften the beans quickly. This was one of her quiet kitchen secrets. An appropriate amount of salt is added, and the beans are gently rubbed together for about 5 minutes. The graininess of the salt and the friction between the beans help create tiny cracks in the skins. After rubbing, the beans are rinsed thoroughly to remove the salt. Then placed into a pot with enough water added at one time. The heat is set high, and the beans are boiled for about 10 minutes. This method takes a little longer than freezing, but the beans still turn soft and bloom well. If a sweeter soup is preferred, a few pieces of rock sugar can be added and simmered for another 2 minutes. Many people wonder why these methods work so well. The reason is simple. Both freezing and salt rubbing gently damage the bean skins, allowing heat and water to enter the center of the beans more quickly. This helps them cook from the inside out. These methods are not limited to red beans. They can be used for many types of beans. Grandma once spoke about a doctor she knew named John. They met years ago through a family friend, and over time, their conversations often turned to food and everyday health. John often mentioned red beans. He explained that red beans were gentle on digestion, helped support circulation, and provided steady energy without being heavy. He said they were especially helpful for people who felt tired easily, had weak digestion, or needed food that nourished slowly rather than all at once. That was one of the reasons red bean dishes stayed in her kitchen for so many years. Grandma said that when something was good for the body, it should appear often, not only when someone was sick. Over time, red beans became part of family gatherings and holidays. She said food was meant to be shared. Red beans were served warm, gently sweet and comforting, a reminder to slow down and take care even while celebrating. Even now, when this bowl of red beans is placed on the table, it carries more than flavor. It carries those quiet conversations, the trust between Grandma and someone who understood health in simple terms, and the belief that caring for the body did not need to be complicated. That is why this dish never disappeared from her kitchen, especially during holidays. These were never just cooking tricks. They were small acts of care, passed down through love and patience. As this Christmas season arrives, may your kitchen be warm, your meals be simple, and your heart be at peace. May God bless you and your family with good health, gentle nights, and many shared moments around the table.